little.
The Bears.
Because of the way they play the nickel corner here, and the nickel corner plays 88-85% of the snaps. He's got to be like part linebacker.
The Bears.
When you're in a scouting room, there's going to be differences of opinion.
The Bears.
Well, you're looking at traits. And remember when he tested very, very well.
The Bears.
Greg, why are teams wrong on quarterback evaluation so up?
Number one, it's a hard position to evaluate.
Former Bears scouting director Greg Gabriel talks football live every week on the Barroom Network. Also available on demand.
Look, I think it's a good time to be a Chicago Bears fan. There's a lot to be excited about. But let me tell you something. We are past the point of excuses. If things go sour, you have used up all of the patience that Chicago has to offer.
The following program is rated TV MALV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Here we go, Barflies. Welcome to the Barfly Tailgate Show. You already know it's done by Barflies, for Barflies, and all the other Bears fans out there. What's going on? My man Tooch is here with me. I've texted KB to see if he's on his way or if he's working. I'm not sure. And the Chicago Bears have broken Chris Watts, everybody.
I forgot we had to talk about that.
He has decided to take a break from podcasting at least till the end of the season.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, we're hoping that he comes back next season, but yeah, it's awful. I mean,
it really got me right here when he was like, "I don't want to talk negatively about my favorite team anymore."
Right. It's tough, and it's we've seen this happen to former barroom people as well. He's not the first one where the curse of the Bears has gotten to them, and they just are tired of talking negatively about their team. I mean, we're looking in the chat, JoJo. I saw you before we even started talking about when he should have went for the haul and got O-line, and it's hard to say that because I still think Caleb's the right answer at quarterback. I think he was the lone bright spot last week. Him and Rome.
I got some stuff on that too.
Line is definitely a huge issue and has been for years, and it's crazy that a former offensive lineman and Ryan Poles can't identify the correct offensive lineman to bring in here. It's. I mean, I guess we could just get right into it. The Chicago Bears traveled to San Francisco last week and get absolutely shellacked and embarrassed by the 49ers to the tune of 38-13, and it wasn't even as close as the scoreboard would suggest at the end. The two touchdowns were Caleb to Rome, and Rome had a beautiful catch in the back of the end zone for the first one.
Really nice catch.
in the
I didn't
second.
think there was any way he'd get his toes down.
Yeah, I thought it
That was really athletic play.
I thought he was way far back, but he got his toes down and got in. And the
His
second
toes
one,
like shot down. It was like before
Right.
he went out of bounds. That was like it was like a robot punching down.
The second one, if you watch it on tape, Fred Warner, Pro Bowl, All-Pro linebacker,
Saw that.
Roma Dunze really works him on his route where he looks like he's coming in and then he just goes up, and Fred doesn't drop with him because he thinks he's just going to come with, across the middle, I guess. And Caleb perfectly placed the ball. But yeah, JoJo, I can somewhat agree. Offensive line is a huge issue, and our GM decided not to put his the things that he did try to do to fix the O line, like paying Nate Davis. Yeah. He definitely after that press conference, he it's definitely a quote unquote GM. I think Kevin Warren's running the show, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result.
Pretty good at that.
And I feel like that's Kevin Warren is something different. I don't even know how secure Ryan Poles' job is at this point. Maybe if Kevin Warren wants to tear it all down and start from scratch.
Do you want to talk about this past week for a little, Poles and Warren, just real quick? Because Dan Weeder, I don't know if you saw the article, but Dan Weeder really has a scathing report on the backstage of Hallis Hall with Poles and Eberflus and Warren. If you haven't read his article, man. So Weeder's report, Poles was not forced to hire Eberflus. He was Eberflus's guy for whatever reason. The Colts were going to fire Eberflus.
I knew that. See, that's that. I heard that come out last week because I've heard bits and pieces of it, and I heard that come out, and I thought that was a known commodity that he was out in Indianapolis.
I didn't know
before they hired him here.
I mean, it makes sense. He's a horrible coach, and then
his final chance as Colts defensive coordinator was beat the Jaguars at home to get into the playoffs, and he loses to a bad Jaguars team. And his team gives up a ton of points and a ton of yardage. And I think that was the last straw for him in Indy. But,
around the league,
Bears.
When Eberflus was hired around the league, other teams, GMs, people in the NFL were perplexed at the hiring of Eberflus, which kind of confirms my initial feelings about the hiring of Eberflus. Who?
I mean, you're a betting guy. On the day of his hire, he was like plus 1,000. Like he was barely on the board. The favorite.
Poles placed some bets. Anonymous bets. One of his homies put 10,000 down. Hired Eberflus. People around the league were perplexed. Poles was the report was on Poles was responsible for the hiring of Waldron, he ignored warning signs and the advice of others in the organization, including his coaches, on Nate Davis. He had bad practice habits. He was a bad human being.
Yeah, we had heard that, and we're not even in the industry. You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean,
I'm just a fan. I'm not a football evaluator.
For the people who are glazing Poles, on Twitter, I'm not a fan. I hated the acquisition of Chase Claypool, which turned out to be the 32nd overall pick in the draft.
You called that out at the time. It's not a hindsight for you. You at the time of the trade was like, I hate this trade.
Yeah. I was like, he's not worth a second round pick.
Right.
And Chase Claypool, Nomad and I forget who else was in love with the trade, Shorty, Nomad, all those guys. But yeah, look. You could have bargained with they spent a second round pick on Claypool. They got more than their money back on the dude. And then we give up guys for like 6th round, 7th round pick, Khalil Herbert, Justin Fields. Why don't these trades go our way once in a while? We're spending, a 4th round pick for, a rental of Keenan Allen. To me, it's not good.
A 6th round pick for Ryan Bates, who can't get off IR at
right.
this point.
Another one right there.
It's kind of both, though, because I think the Montez Sweat deal, it was a second-round pick. He was phenomenal last year. This year, I think he's working his way through injury. And once Billings gets hurt and he's not taking on extra blockers, then most of that focus is going on Sweat, and it's detrimental to him and to Javon Dexter. Look how far Javon Dexter fell off after the Billings injury.
Yeah. Now he's injured he's not playing versus the Vikings. We'll get into that injury report and stuff.
That's when we get into the game this week, we'll talk about that. But and then
do you want to comment on the Harbaugh miss?
I'll get to it.
You liked Harbaugh,
buddy. I did.
So did I. Did. he would have been the perfect coach at the time, to get this organization a kick in the ass. This is why I'm saying, like, Mike Vrabel is the perfect guy at this point in time. Would I be adverse to Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson? No, I'm fine with them too. Aaron Glenn might be the guy too. I think Aaron Glenn and Vrabel are kind of, if you're looking for that rah kick in the ass guy, probably one of those two guys. Ben Johnson, I'm told, I've heard that he doesn't command a room like Vrabel or Aaron Glenn, and then
I wanted Harbaugh badly.
Yeah, so did I.
I wanted them to pull the trigger last year and fire Eberflus and bring in Harbaugh. Yes. Apparently, Harbaugh and Kevin Warren bumped heads at the Big Ten.
And Big Ten. Yep.
And he shut it down completely, which is nonsense. But so, that's the business, man. They put their personal things on this. I mean, our friend Greg Gabriel, he can't stand Harbaugh because I guess he knows him behind the scenes. And yes, Harbaugh has a history of having a short runway, but he turns your franchise around. This is a guy who won at Stanford. He won at
Michigan.
Well, everyone wins at Michigan other than
San Francisco.
Brady Hoke. There's a small school that he coached at before Stanford, but I can't remember what it is. I think it's San Jose State.
Was it San Jose State?
I believe it's somewhere in California.
Or was it some kind of? Wasn't he like a small community college and then went to Stanford?
Let me look it up. And
I don't know for sure. But
you can talk about Harbaugh some more.
He is a California. He's a California guy, so taking the Los Angeles Chargers jobs made sense. Does he win wherever he goes? Pretty much. He took the took the 49ers to a Super Bowl, and then he whatever. I don't understand why the Bears have to keep repeating these mistakes. They hire GMs with no experience, end up hiring a coach that is the wrong coach. For whatever reason. I mean, look at since Lovie Smith, we have not had a good coach.
True.
It's been a series of failures at the coaching.
At the University of San Diego from 2004 to 2006.
Small. I think they're an FCS school. That's like the what is it? Big West or Mountain West, Big West. I think Big West Conference.
Yeah,
all those California teams, they have like their own conference. UC Davis and UC Irvine, they're all in that one conference. San Diego, UC San Diego. There's like San Diego, UC San Diego State. They're all, it's easy to get those confused.
But he wins everywhere he goes, and him and Kevin Warren just didn't get along, which kind of sucks for us because you missed a chance to get a great coach in here who has a history with the Bears.
We don't know if that's true that they're actually like butted heads in the Big Ten. I mean, I would say it's likely though. You're hearing it from Greg Gabriel. You're hearing the suspensions and everything and whatnot. So it's likely, but not confirmed. I don't think, right?
I think the biggest thing was Kevin Warren wasn't sure what to do COVID year and was kind of trying to shut down the Big Ten. And I'm sure Harbaugh was one of those guys, along with Justin Fields, who was like, no, I want to play. Like, if there's any chance we have to play, I'd like to do it. And that's probably where they butted heads on those issues. But
100%.
I'm an SEC guy. We played that whole year, and it was topsy-turvy.
How about the SEC basketball, man? They're like every team is like in the top 50 or whatever.
It used to be
in basketball.
Kentucky
Holy crap!
Basketball, we knew we were going to go. We knew we were. What they called the SEC tournament, the Kentucky Invitational down there in Nashville. Now it's with Tennessee and Auburn and
Florida,
Alabama and Kentucky, and Florida's undefeated.
Georgia is good too. They're decent.
Yeah, it's wild, but I mean, but it's I don't want to continue to go back to the Harbaugh thing because that's kind of water under the bridge at this point.
We should talk a little bit about the 49ers game because to me it's probably one of the top 10 worst performances by a Bears team I've ever seen.
It was a shocking performance is what it was, because
horrible.
You had a chance. This is a guy you finally got. A lot of the teammates, the players were revolting to get Eberflus out of there.
They staged a mutiny and got away with it.
They get what they want.
Yep.
And then they lay down on this head coach. And the biggest concern I had, a video that Tom Waddle put up, breaking down the tape of Jalen Johnson completely giving up on a play where a running back's going in for a touchdown. He may not have been able to actually hit this guy, but he could have peanut punched or done something. He just pulls up completely and lets the guy waltz right into the end zone. The team is quitting. It's like they're ready for the offseason as much as we are, and it's shocking. Like I said, there's a few bright spots. Caleb and Rome, Keenan doing okay now. I like that they're getting DJ Moore the ball. The offensive line is a huge concern. Your left tackle is getting knocked on his ass. Your right tackle's fine, but when you're one of five, it's such a cohesive unit that it all has to come together. It's like they were talking about this on 670 The Score when they were talking about Jordan Davis versus the idea of Darnell Wright. Of course, they're going back to that draft evaluation. Yeah. It's a lot easier as one part of a defensive line to see individual success as opposed to on an offensive line where you're part of a cohesive you're a puzzle piece, essentially you're a chain link to a full chain, whereas on defensive line you can see that really play out as much. But when you're the strongest chain link of a weak chain, it doesn't really make it. You can't use that chain either way.
Last week I was like, well, I thought the Bears would get a bounce from the firing of Eberflus to keep it within 4. I didn't think they'd win the game.
Yeah, Carter, not Davis. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
Yeah, I thought they'd win the game. I just didn't. I thought they would keep it within 4. Man, we weren't even close. Man, blown out by 20. It was 24-0 at halftime.
Shocked, and it was 319 yards to 4 yards.
We had 5 punts. We had more punts than yards of offense.
All of a sudden, we can't run the ball. All of a sudden, and Caleb's getting sacked, and 49ers players are helping him up before his offensive linemen are. What is going on? How is this? And they talked about, they talked about their culture all the time. They always talked about how good their culture is, how those players in the locker room got each other's back. Remember, every time they would talk to Eberflus, that's the first thing he would say, well, we've got each other. That was the first thing he'd freaking say. But on the field, it does not look as if they have each other's back. When I watch Caleb Williams get drilled and then picked up by Fred Warner as opposed to being picked up by Braxton Jones or even Darnell Wright, the guy I just spoke about. And we should have seen this when they had 8 freaking captains. Not a single one of them is in the trenches. Not a single one. You don't have a single offensive lineman that can be a captain on this team or defensive lineman to be a captain on this team. That's where the game is won and lost. Everyone knows that. They say that in Pop Warner.
Yeah.
But you don't have a single player on the trenches that's a captain. It's ridiculous. I don't care if Coleman Shelton's a guy you picked up off the street. Someone's got to have a C, and someone's got to be a leader on this team.
Yep.
Darnell Wright, you're a top 10 pick. A lot of these guys, they used to say it about Julius Peppers. He was a Hall of Fame defensive end. He didn't talk much. He let his play do the talking. Yeah. They threw a C on him because they knew he was a leader. How do you have 8 captains, not a single one of them in the trenches? That's a red flag at the start of the season. But yeah, it seems like an offensive line rebuild. I think I still like Darnell Wright. I would keep Coleman Shelton as a backup because at least we're not talking about bad snaps, right? I think Tevin Jenkins is
he's just small for me. I mean, I know size doesn't always matter at the center position because Olin Kreutz was small, and in my opinion, he's one of the best to ever play that position. But
you tell him that. I ain't telling him that.
Yeah, exactly. But the failures of the offensive line, to me, is a direct reflection on the evaluation talent of Ryan Poles. I don't think he can scout talent. I don't think he knows blue chip players. I don't think he knows offensive line talent. He tore down a roster to build arguably a shittier roster.
I heard you say that on on Bare Their Souls. Yeah, that was perfect analogy.
I mean, if you're gonna tear something down, you better. I mean, he claims to have had a plan, which he elucidated to George McCaskey when he was hired, but the plan has not been good, and he drafted defensive backs first in his first draft. No trenches,
Our former co-host Jordan Silvera called it out immediately. Said, "Why is he building this way? You build from the trenches out. You don't. We see it in Detroit. Look what they've done. They built their offensive. They didn't draft all those offensive linemen. They brought in former first-round picks on their offensive line.
Couple decades ago, Bill Parcells was saying you build in the trenches first, offensive, defensive line. The knowledge has been out there for decades.
Yeah,
it's not. We're not revealing some secret knowledge.
Yeah,
but
reinventing the wheel.
I don't feel too bad for Eberflus after that game. Look at this motherfucker sitting on the beach with a cigar.
Hey, he's living the dream, brother. I bet if he sells his house, he's gonna make what
$20,000 a day to not coach the Bears.
He is.
You can't hate him enough. You can't hate him enough.
He tried, but he was stuck in a. I mean, what's he going to do? Turn down the head coaching gig? No, absolutely not.
Right?
He's going to go be someone's DC, and he'll be fine. Just don't put him in front of a podium where he has to. Don't make him do the halftime speeches or any of that kind of stuff. Just let him be a DC. And I think, speaking of coordinator positions, Thomas Brown was incredible as our OC up in the booth. And I think maybe that was part of the problem last week as well, where not only is he getting used to being the man, he's down on the field now, and he has a different vantage point of everything. I mean, our guy Vic Fangio was the same way.
He had to really
look what he's doing in Philadelphia. He's up in the booth. And when he went to Denver, he had to go down on the field because he was head coach, and it did not work out.
Totally agree. And Chris Beatty, what was Chris Beatty up in the booth?
I'm assuming I don't remember. I just remember
he's the interim offensive coordinator, correct? The wide receivers coach.
Yeah.
So JT O'Sullivan, had some not very kind words for the Bears offense against the 49ers, where again you're seeing groupings of routes of our wide receivers where they're all within 5 yards of each other.
I can see it if I can see all of our receivers on my television screen, there's a problem with spacing.
Yep. Yeah, spacing was again a problem. That's what the problem we had with Waldron and with Nagy.
Exactly.
So now Thomas Brown got people spaced out and stuff like that. Then Chris Beatty comes in, we got the same problem again. So I mean, look, we'll get into Vikings and stuff and Bears, and I'm not hopeful of our chances. We could talk about some other things. I have some notes. But as far as Thomas Brown, the team should have gotten a bounce. Should have gotten some increase.
I thought they would. I bet Bears money line. So that's probably the problem. Yeah. Is I put my money on it, and they
always I've gotten away from betting either on the Bears or against the Bears because it always seems like if I bet against them, they're going to stab me in the back. Because what kind of a fan are you betting against us? Or if I bet on them, then they're going to come out and lay an egg. just because,
Yeah.
just to stick it to me some more.
Well, I like this right here. I know it's kind of off topic at this point, but
Yep.
he's
we
throwing.
got some things for JoJo. He's got the NFL rookie he broke Kyler Murray's record of consecutive passes without an interception. So he's got the NFL record for a rookie. He has the NFL rookie record for most starts without an interception. So think about this: the guy's thrown 255 passes with 0 interceptions. The NFL record is 402 passes with Aaron Rodgers, who coincidentally Eddie Jackson ended that streak in 2018 in the season finale by picking off Rodgers. I mean, the kid has played good, man. I mean, he's on pace for whatever I got it here. He's on pace for 3,700 yards passing, 535 yards rushing. He's really done some damage.
What's the Bears' all-time record for passing yards?
Oh, he's already broken it. It was Mitch.
I know he broke it for the rookies, but I mean like.
Oh, okay.
For all
Bears' all-time passing record, I think, is 3,800 something. For it's Eric Kramer.
So I know we've never had 4,000.
Never had a 4,000-yard passer, and we're the oldest team in the league.
Yeah.
For that, I mean, next year he's going to break it. We just need the right coaches in place.
I mean, and the biggest thing is we need O-line. Look at this. Sacked 50 times. Like
only one guy in the NFL has been sacked more than 50 times.
Yeah, and he's done it 56. And if you look at the last few years, I saw someone put that up. It's Caleb Williams. Then right behind him is Justin Fields with 55. Like, so obviously this is a recurring issue. And you try to continue to put it off on your quarterback because they used to say about Justin, he holds on to the ball too long. Maybe he does. Maybe A, your scheme's wrong and your guys aren't getting open. And then B, your blocks aren't holding up. Like, I don't.
Look at how good he's done against the NFC North, man.
And this is the best conference in football, the best division of football.
That's what you want, I mean, for people who are hating on Caleb, like Pohl said, or people around the league said it was the best situation for a rookie quarterback to step in with. That's been blown up.
Right.
It wasn't because the offensive line has been terrible, but the kid has been pretty good with making lemonade out of lemons.
But I think a lot of them couldn't perceive or assume that the offensive line regressed. I think we were like middle of the pack at O-line last year. I don't remember us being god awful. I mean, we were not great. Braxton Jones has never been good, but Tevin Jenkins, when he's healthy, is pretty good.
Yeah.
We got a new center, which we thought we needed. Guard, they thought Nate Davis was decent. I mean, what he did in Tennessee was fine. And then you draft Darnell Wright in the top 10. But I think, let me read this one up here. What's that? 39-28.
That's a Bears team record for passing yards in a season. 3,920. I didn't Google it. I could, but I mean, it's when I saw
Kramer, I was thinking Doug Kramer, and I was like, "What is he talking about?" The offensive, because I'm talking offensive.
Eric Kramer. Yeah, that might have been before your time, though. No, or
I know the name
a little bit.
Yeah. So we need 6 new offensive linemen. Starting to lean towards Vrabel.
He could really sling the ball, man. He had a great arm.
I think he's been on the.
Yeah, he's been on a few times with Aldo and Dan. Yep.
Yeah.
He could really sling it, man. He was light though, like kind of like Jaden Daniels. He was like 6'1", 195. He wasn't a big guy. Just smart and had a laser for an arm, man. Really strong arm for a little guy, And he wasn't a big guy. He was always getting hurt. He was always injured.
So if Caleb had some better games and some of those, like last week, he had just over 100 yards. So if he doubles that, and then the Tennessee game, if he puts a couple hundred, I don't know, there, here or there where he had some bad games, if he was able to have decent games, he might break that record. I do like what Buka says here now. He's like, we need 6 new offensive linemen. He's not a fan of anyone, I guess. Starting to lean toward Vrabel as coach because I think he can get good old linemen. I am leaning toward Vrabel as well, and it's not technically because of the type of talent he could bring in. I think it's the level he could get the current talent and possibly more talent in the future to get the level he can get them to play. I watched him coach at Tennessee, Granted, he had Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs of all time.
Yep.
But this is a guy who had Ryan Tannehill, who was considered a bust in Miami.
Terrible.
Comes to Tennessee, puts them in a 1 seed in the AFC playoffs, where you've got the great teams are in the AFC. We've always been told that, I like Vrabel, and you talk about your leader of men that we've heard for the last 3 weeks beat over the head with it. That is literally the definition of Mike Vrabel. I can't point to anything to say this is why he's a great coach other than his leadership and the things the way he's able to get his players to play above and beyond themselves. When they lost A.J. Brown, then he had a falling out with the GM because he lost his best wide receiver. And people want to hold that against him. Like, imagine having one of the top 5. Would you say A.J. Brown's a top 5 receiver in the league?
Oh, yeah.
On your roster, and your GM trades him away on draft night for one singular pick to possibly bring in a new guy to get, like, it's ridiculous.
Dumb.
Pissed too.
Yeah, was the Treylon Burks? Is that the guy they picked?
Yeah, they were like, well, this guy's going to play just like him. Like, you can't just assume someone's going to be, and
I put A.J. Brown, guys like A.J. Brown, Amon St. Brown. These guys are the best, among the best separators in the NFL. A.J. Brown, to me, is probably number 1 as far as getting separation from defensive backs in the NFL, man. There's no one as good as him.
Yeah.
His quarterback,
I agree, Robbie.
His quarterback just can't throw.
Yeah, we need to get him an every down running back. DeAndre Swift, I thought for a few weeks there he had found something. And I thought the offensive line was clicking. They were hitting people, opening holes, and then we didn't play the Panthers or the Jaguars, and all of a sudden
imagine if A.J. Brown was on the Chiefs.
It'd be unfair.
Had someone who can actually get him the ball.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, he's not.
If he was on the Bears, I think Williams.
That's crazy. That's another thing, and we don't talk about it. Imagine being an Eagles fan, where your team is 11-2, and you're in constant turmoil, and you're not sure how good you are, even at 11-2. Like, I would be doing backflips if my team was 11-2. And then they talked to fans outside the stadium, and they were all ready to cut Jalen Hurts after last week against the Panthers, and I'm like.
Yeah, I mean, the Jalen Hurts had Shane Steichen as his offensive coordinator. He was really good when he had that guy. Since then, I'm not sure who the is it Kellen
Moore's
Kellen Moore. And he's a good coordinator.
He'll get head coaching
he'll get
interviews this offseason. Maybe he'll get one here. I know there's some dark horse guys. Obviously, Vrabel's the favorite. Ben Johnson, I'd be perfectly fine with, although I am starting to get concerned with some of his play calling. Like when we played against him, he went away from the run for no reason whatsoever.
Didn't he run? He ran an end around with Penei Sewell.
Yeah. He was trying all kinds of stuff, but I'm not.
That was like a screw you, Chicago Bears.
Right.
Kind of play.
I'm not a fan of Aaron Glenn. He's fine, I guess, but I just don't think he's. I don't know. Maybe he'll be a good head coach somewhere, but if I'm getting a defensive-minded head coach, I want a guy who's been there before and done it before, like Vrabel.
Yep.
I agree. But some offensive-minded guys, Kellen Moore, I'd probably be fine with. Liam Cohen, I could probably be talked into because I watched him do wonderful things with Will Levis here in Lexington.
Yep. Doing great stuff with Baker Mayfield right now.
Absolutely. But yeah, the top of my list is Vrabel. Honestly,
yeah, that's the thing. Caesar says we need an offensive coordinator coach, and I mean, I'm like, I guess. I mean, right now, I don't know. If you would have said before last season, I'd be all on board with you, Caesar. This year, I'm not so sure because
sophistication. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
this coaching staff, buddy, Vrabel bringing in Daboll and Jim. If he can get Jim Schwartz from Cleveland. Yep. Oh, look out. And then with Jim Schwartz, he runs a 4-3 because you have Myles Garrett there and whomever else they throw at defensive end. And
he's been good for a long time, Jim Schwartz.
Runs an aggressive system.
What's up, Aunt Mass? My buddy.
Sorry to cut you off.
Thanks for tuning. No, I'm with you. I wanted to know.
Honestly, Don, you're right. Yeah.
Don, you're right. I threw that up there because I can't disagree with it.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the same similar type of coach as Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
You know,
he'll get you fired up, ready to run
yeah.
through a wall for him.
Last year, I would have said Ben Johnson was the kind of guy that the Bears need to bring Caleb Williams along, an offensive-minded coach. This year, I'm kind of wavering from that. I don't think it matters because the culture is disintegrated. The players staged a mutiny on their own head coach. Yeah. I mean, you need a fucking hard ass in there now, to whip these guys in shape.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I just at this point in time, I think Vrabel is probably the right guy. Long term, I don't know. It depends on who he brings along. And if he's bringing along guys like Dable, Schwartz, frickin' Doug Peterson as quarterbacks coach, I'm okay with it. I think we can compete. And the NFC North has gotten 10 times more difficult since Lovie Smith was coach. Now it's like, all those three teams are all going to the teams above us are all going to the playoffs.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we should talk a little Vikings.
Yeah, let's get into it.
A little injury report maybe before we head into Vikings so we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, Bears are playing in Minnesota tomorrow night, Monday Night Football. Oh my goodness. Look at all these DNPs. Ryan Bates, Javon Dexter, Roshan Johnson, Mercedes Lewis, and DeAndre Swift all did not practice on Friday. So if DeAndre Swift can't go, you've already got Roshan Johnson there, did not practice. Travis Homer, I guess, is a full participant. He's your starting running back.
Didn't they elevate Darrington Evans last week too from the practice squad, I think?
I thought they had grabbed a guy from.
They have Royce Freeman. They picked up him and signed him to the former Oregon Duck who played on the Broncos and he was on the Rams last year. Royce Freeman. So there's a couple guys that could. Although Darrington Evans didn't play too bad. Travis Homer, he looked like he had a concussion last week too. I mean,
it says head there, but he's a full participant.
Yeah. I mean, they got nobody else. I mean, I think Thomas Brown said he was hopeful that DeAndre Swift would play, but
has Thomas Brown got any snaps in him at running back? Or
yeah, can't we? We might not do much worse. Putting the coach
Swift said he's playing. Okay, but if it's a groin, man, all you got to do is take one wrong step and you're back out.
Yeah. But look, if we're talking a little Vikings Bears, look, the Vikings offense is accumulating 351 yards per game. That's 11th in the NFL. So they have been putting up 6.1 yards per play, 7th in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Bears defense, who we touted at the beginning of the season, has really fallen off. We're sitting at allowing about 352.8 yards per game. That's 24th in the NFL. We're no longer a top 20, not even a top 20.
Off.
Yep.
It did.
We're allowing 6.1 yards per play, which is 30th in the NFL. So the Bears' run defense has also fallen off. It's fallen to 24th in the league.
I'm surprised it's that high.
Yep.
They get 6 yards a clip on us.
Our pass defense, which is pretty good when guys are healthy, 218 yards per game. It's about middle of the pack at 16th in the NFL. If we're looking at the Vikings defense versus the Bears offense, 288 yards per game, 32nd in the NFL, so completely last. 4.9 yards per play, also last in the NFL, 32nd in the NFL. Meanwhile, on the defense, the Vikings, now you can hit them through their pass defense, 29th in the NFL. They're allowing 250 yards passing per game. Their run defense, though, 2nd in the NFL. So, I mean, we might as well just be passing because we got no running backs. We can't run on the defense. They're only allowing 87 yards rushing per game. Unless I wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Williams is the leading rusher for the Bears today. The Vikings, overall, their defense 17th in the NFL, but that's because everyone throws on them. They're allowing 5.5 yards per play, which is 10th in the NFL. It's not bad because league average is about 5.7 yards per play. But I think that's where we have to beat them. We're not going to be able to run on them. We have to. I'm not hopeful in this game, Aaron. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm not really either, and a lot of it is because what else do we have to go off of other than the last game that we saw?
Yeah.
What have you done for me lately? We saw a complete systems failure in San Francisco, and you follow that up. If you're a full NFL watcher on Thursday, you watch the 49ers. Literally, a linebacker quit on them mid-game against the Rams.
Yeah,
so
don't want to play anymore. I
uh,
don't remember the guy's name. I never seen that before.
DeAndre Campbell. I believe he's a former Packer, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Last week, Sam Darnold threw 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, but
so, I don't know.
The last time these two played, Caleb had a pretty good game against Brian Flores, which I was a little surprised by.
November 24th, overtime loss, 30-27. We had a chance to win it. That was back when we were, a little more hopeful.
Yeah, the team was still fighting.
Yeah. Last week, though, the Vikings were at home versus the Falcons. They put 42 points up on the Falcons. Falcons defense is bad, but 5 touchdowns for Darnold.
Yeah, I know because I had in the barroom league, Lamar Jackson's my starter. He was on bye last week, and picked up Darnold.
Nice.
Picked up Darnold. He dropped 60 points for me. I was like, okay, that's nice. I appreciate it.
We'll take it. Yeah.
But
the offense is clicking for we're catching them at the wrong time. Now we got to go up to Minneapolis and play them coming off an embarrassing loss.
They're doing the winter warning uniforms as well, where they're wearing the all white, I believe.
White out.
Wearing the all white.
The Vikings are
sweet ass uniform. Yeah, the Vikings. Something that I've seen
white helmet
fans
too, right?
draw up. Yeah, I've seen Bears fans draw it up for the Bears, and they look so good. But now that the Vikings,
you seen this one? I don't know who did this poster.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Freaking cool. Really cool. I don't know who the artist is, man. That reminds me of the old time,
those flyers and stuff.
Game posters, flyers,
programs.
Yeah, programs.
Yeah. Now they're like, we don't want to waste the paper on that, so we'll just scan this QR code. You can see it.
I think. Look, in the Lions game, we went into the locker room down 16-0. Against the 49ers, we went in the locker room down 24-0. So I'm gonna take the Vikings -3.5 first half next week.
That's probably a solid bet there.
I think we're down at least 7 going into the locker room at halftime. We may come out. Bears are more of a second half team, anyways. But look, when Thomas Brown was named interim head coach, the first thing he did was ask for time off for the weekend off. We got 10 days. He wanted the holiday off, but you know what? Okay, fine. But you've just been named the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I'd have been like, I'm working. I'll see you, honey. We got Thanksgiving next year or whatever. Next. I'll be working. Take the kids wherever. Why don't you go to Florida for Thanksgiving? Go see
have everyone come to you.
Yeah.
You've probably got if you're a coach in the NFL, I would say you have one of the nicer homes in your family. Just going out on a limb, guessing. That's. It's hard. It's hard because I feel like I would take the time off with my family, but I didn't just get offered a head coaching gig either.
My job doesn't require tons of preparation and watching game film and prep work, but. When you've been named the head coach of, one of the premier franchises in the NFL, you do whatever it takes. If you want to be head coach next year, that's just me.
So general manager John, he's kind of calling Vrabel a meatball, saying that he can't innovate and reinvent himself. It's kind of what made him fall off in Tennessee, which is a fair point. Yeah. There's a reason why he gets fired in Tennessee.
He could be John Fox.
Right. Well, he's a big fan of Ben Johnson, who's an innovative young play caller, which I like. I've been on the record. I like Vrabel, but I would be fine with Ben Johnson as well. If he does end up being the next Andy Reid, I'm good with that. But what if he ends up being the next Brian Daboll or the next Matt Nagy or something to that sort. I mean, like I said, I would not be upset if they took that chance. But we'd have to see. We'd have to see what they're willing to do as an organization. You know, they have a history of being cheap as well. Okay, I get it, John. Yeah, McVay in L.A., Shanahan in San Fran, Kevin O'Connell. These are all from the same tree. LaFleur, you mentioned LaFleur. You know where LaFleur got started was under Vrabel. You know, he was his OC, and that's why he got hired as a head coach was because he had a defensive-minded head coach, and he ran the offense, so they gave him a chance. Ben Johnson is an offensive-minded offensive coordinator whom is under Dan Campbell, who is also I mean, he played tight end. He came from Sean Payton's tree. He's an offensive-minded head coach. So it doesn't equate exactly, John. It's possible. Like I said, I won't be upset if they hire Ben Johnson. But I'm not going to say that would be the slam dunk, grand slam, all-time hire that I thought it would be originally. It may work out and it may not. We don't know. He could be Matt Nagy all over again, and then you're back at square one. And I'm starting to be with you, Tooch, where I think it's not only a coaching issue, it is a talent evaluation and talent.
It's also a culture issue.
Yeah, our culture is awesome, though. They said. That's what they said after they fired Alan Williams.
Dude, I saw a team against the 49ers didn't look like it wanted to be there.
I was at the couch not wanting to be there.
Me either.
I switched it over to the Rams and Bills because that was an exciting, fun game where they were actually both trying.
I did write down a few notes. Wanted to ask you, like, why should we watch the rest of the games?
I'm watching.
I asked the chat too. Why should we watch? Why should we watch the Bears game Monday night and the rest of the season? Why should we watch? What are you guys watching for?
Well, you're a Bears fan, so you're watching your team.
Granted,
right.
That's a given. Yep.
But B, Caleb Williams, you're seeing it in the chat. Caleb, Rome,
100%.
Seeing if there's any pieces on the offensive line that you can salvage and keep. I think Darnell Wright's there. I think, Tevin Jenkins is in a contract year. Is he worth bringing back, or is he going to be able to stay healthy? Wide receiver position is Keenan Allen. I don't expect them to re-sign him, but he's on a 1-year deal. So is he worth anything for a 2-year deal or anything like that? Defensively, is there anyone that we can find opposite of Montez Sweat, or are we going to have to bicker and fight with our with our first round pick? Is it going to be left tackle or is it going to be a pass rusher?
Right now we're in line for the 9th overall pick in the draft. If we want, exactly. We always seem to land 9, around there.
9.
I forgot the big LSU tackle.
Will Campbell.
Will Campbell. If we want to get a stud like that, plug him in at left tackle. He's only 21 years old. I think he's a young kid with a mountain of potential.
Yeah.
If we want,
he could play tackle or guard.
We've got to trade up. Definitely, we need to trade into the top 5 to get him top 6.
I don't know. It really depends on how it falls because your first 2 picks are probably Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, one way or the other. Especially if the Raiders land that number 1 overall pick. I don't know if you know this. Shedeur Sanders says, "Thank you, God," every time the Raiders lose. I think I don't know if that's a coincidence, but I think he wants to be a Raider, and I think
bring his dad with him. They probably might have a opening there.
I don't know what they want to do. That's a different organization, but so I think he'll go 1, and Cam will go 2.
He might be like, I only played for my dad.
He might, and then Travis Hunter's probably going to be a Patriot, and they'll figure out whether he's receiver or corner.
Yeah, he's a corner. To me, he's a cornerback.
Then you got the pass rusher from Penn State. He's going to go high. And then you're looking at offensive tackles. We've got the guy from LSU, Campbell.
Yep. And the
or
one from Texas tore his ACL.
Oh, did he?
Yep. Yep.
So
Otherwise, he'd be ahead of
he'd
Campbell.
be a top 10 pick. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awful.
Yep.
Damn. I didn't realize he tore his ACL. Because
Yep.
that might knock him out of consideration in the first time. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely waiting a year on the kid.
Yeah, you got 2 second-round picks there, though. You know, we got ours and Panthers. Maybe you go pass rusher in the first round, and then second round come around and grab that kid out of Texas. And
yeah, we haven't gotten what we thought we'd get, the kind of juice out of our defensive line as far as pass rush. We've gotten pressure though. We haven't gotten sacks. You know the results, and we have gotten pressure.
I'm starting to see this in mock drafts. I love Ashton Genty. I think he's an excellent talent. Yeah. I think he goes to Dallas. I think he wants to be in Dallas. He's mentioned playing in the warm weather.
I'll take the number 5 on the Hawkeyes.
Yeah. I like player, Caleb Johnson. I like
get him in the second or third round.
I love the kid out of Tennessee, Dylan Sampson, but I kind of worry because I see a lot of DeAndre Swift in him. He's crazy good in college, but so was Swift. You know, but we need more of a power back. I think.
DeAndre Swift has given us some good play this season, man. Would I rather have David Montgomery? Yeah, because I mean, just
kills me.
Montgomery can do a lot of the same stuff. He just doesn't have the breakaway that Swift has, and he's a little bit bigger. Again, Swift is injured again, you know, which has been the knock on him since he came out. But I can't say he hasn't played that. You know, he's played well for the Bears.
Yeah. Well, if we bring in Vrabel, I know General Manager John, this doesn't completely agree with your thing, but he's talking about Joel Bitonio from Cleveland, and you could look at Jedrick Wills, who's a free agent from Cleveland. He
Trey
says
Johnson at guard. Signed the guard up from the Chiefs.
Yeah,
it was a Trey Johnson.
Trey Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not positive. I thought I had looked at the free agent list and saw Zach Martin there as a free agent from Dallas.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
How is he not gathering? I mean, this is a former Pro Bowl guard, and you want to talk about how the Lions built it. They didn't draft all their offensive line. They brought in some free agents who were big draft picks for other teams to help build their offensive line as well. So it's very possible. I wonder if they were to fire Poles, if that would sour Trey Smith's idea. Because if he likes Poles, knows Poles from his time in Kansas City, you know, what if he's like, why would I go there when y'all just fired my boy? And we've even seen Caleb sticking up for Poles. So that's the guy who drafted him, and he talked about, you know, what he's like. Slick, my guy. I just saw him, and it just scrolled up. Damn it, where was it?
Look at that.
Yeah,
I don't care how he may care. He can care all he wants. We fans care about the team too, Caleb. But I mean, if he can't build a roster, if he can't spot the talent, I don't want him here.
Yeah.
You know, he sucks at finding coaches. He sucks at finding offensive linemen. He can't pick a wide receiver to save his life. The free agent moves have all backfired. He has not built a good roster. He hasn't built the trenches. I mean, to me, these are all fireable offenses if I was an owner.
Yeah.
You know? So you found this? You found what you wanted, the one?
Yeah. Slick sophistication put it up. Cam Scatterbo, the running back out of Arizona State. Looks like
just watch the game.
Looks like Mike Allstott freaking reincarnated. Go trenches and give that guy the rock, and he is a battering ram.
I think I played his prop in the last game over rush yards or anytime touchdown recently.
He hit the Heisman pose in the end zone of their championship game. Yeah, I like that kid. And I didn't know who he was before this week because I don't watch a whole lot of Arizona State, you know. But yeah,
I'm
I
usually
like
asleep when those games go on. Same with the basketball.
right,
West Coast
yeah.
games, but
Starting at 10:15 at night, that's past my bedtime for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we still haven't talked about this game for tomorrow though. Yeah, I mean, we've got all kinds of time we got a whole nother month to talk about what we might do this offseason, what moves they might make. We won't know until the offseason starts. We know they've put in permission to try and talk to Vrabel. I don't think they talked to Bill Belichick, who took the North Carolina job. So
Right. We should talk about that. Bill Belichick was highly interested in the Bears head coaching position.
He said it was the best
situation.
opening.
Yep, best opening. Yep.
Best opening with a young quarterback. Some pieces around him. You just got to fix the trenches. Which is still ass backwards. But
any interest to you with the Belichick? Any interest from you?
I wasn't interested in bringing him here. I mean, he was arguably the GOAT of my lifetime. You know, I didn't see a whole lot of Bill Walsh. I know he's considered a GOAT, and Tom Landry's up there. Of course, Papa Bear and Lombardi if you go back further than that. But
Matthew Cheese with the $10 super chat.
Just cut me off and read it out, brother.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Bears need a Dan Campbell type. Shh, don't tell Lions fans, but players want to go there and play for that man. Vrabel is that guy for us. Bears need to make it happen. Like I said, I'm with you. He's at the top of my list. I still wouldn't be upset if it was Ben Johnson. I still wouldn't be upset if they go on offensive mind. But I can totally see why Vrabel would be a guy that they would be interested in.
Now, here's the thing. With these head coach contracts, I mean, they never disclosed the terms of Eberflus's contract, but to me, it looks like he signed a 5-year contract. Now, if a schmuck like Eberflus can get a 5-year contract, everybody is getting 5-year contracts now, and then the buyout when you want to fail them when they don't work out. It's you kind of are handcuffing organizations as far as when they go to hire a head coach when you're locked in. It makes it difficult to fire.
I will never feel bad for organizations. You own a $6 million piece of property, $6 billion piece of property.
Right, we want them to make the right choice and spend the money and hire and everything. But when it gets into, when you get it in, right now, the league is expected, organizations around the league are expected to hand out 5-year contracts. It used to be 3 years, and then you talk about renewing or extending or anything. I mean, maybe they get creative and talk about a 3-year contract. It's really a 5-year contract with a couple of years of options, bonuses paid and stuff. Maybe they start getting creative.
It might depend on the situation too, though. I mean, if you're going to a situation where I think what Eberflus thought he was getting himself into was a full-on rebuild, and that was part of the reason why he would want a little more longer.
Got another one for cheese. He's keeping Aldo in Italian beef sandwiches, right?
Yeah, Ben Johnson gets hired. I'm not going meatball and defending him. He's got to prove it to fans. It's hard to argue against that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be happy with either guy, to be honest.
Yeah, me too.
I just think that right now the organization is in such a bad situation post Eberflus and hopefully post polls that a guy like Vrabel needs to come in and set the tone. Correct the culture, get the players whipped into shape. It's possible that some of these guys that are here now are just not interested in playing hard anymore for the Chicago Bears after what they've seen go down. You have to get rid of these guys. I mean, for the past 10 or 12 years, we haven't had a winning season in 11 of the past 12 years. The only time we've had a winning season was in 2018 with Nagy when he took over for John Fox with Mitch Trubisky and the double doink and all that crap. But the culture needs to be rebuilt in a sense, and that's going to be difficult. The players have had 11 years of losing. I know they're not all here. Most of the guys from Ryan Pace are gone, But I
All
think
right, General Manager John is on one now.
Is he out of heater?
He said he hopes to see Bajent in one of the final 4 games.
Oh boy.
And he points back to Bajent was 7 of 8 with 2 touchdowns versus the Bengals. Caleb was 6 of 13 with none. We played the Bengals in the preseason. So if he's pointing back to preseason games, second half of preseason games to say this is why Bajent's the starter.
None of those guys on the first of all, the Bengals defense sucks right now. And third, now the fourth quarter guys for the Bengals aren't even in the league.
Those are insurance salesmen. You know? And I was with you for a lot of things, John. I gave you your open mic to talk about what you would like to see. And then does he actually think that
Bajent is better than Caleb Williams?
Bajent had the offense humming in the preseason. Caleb was struggling preseason completely.
The guy's broken almost every Bears rookie passing
running
record.
Around, still doing the same shit in week 14. Brother, he broke the Bears rookie passing yards and touchdowns in his rookie season and is on pace.
In game 10? He broke game 12, 11? He broke the
Thanksgiving, he broke our touchdown record. And he's on pace to come close to the all-time Bears passing record. Like, Bajent's fine as a backup. He's not a starter. He's not. He's behind. He's fine in the preseason, but when you put him in the real game, he's behind his receivers. He's throwing. His
arm is definitely not as strong. I know Caleb hasn't been accurate, but there's no comparison. Caleb Williams whistles passes in there like crazy, man. It's just the fastballs. Bajent doesn't have the fastball that Caleb has. I'll tell you right now. It's like it's so apparent. It's obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the escapability in the pocket. So there's no comparison. I mean, Bajent can scramble a little bit, and he's smart. He's a good backup.
We all agree. We need.
He's a great backup. That's it, though. The starter is Caleb Williams, hands down. There's no comparison as far as starting. Look, you can blame it all you want on coaches, and I'm with you 100%. The coaches the Bears have had have sucked since Lovie Smith. They're terrible. We haven't had a good offensive mind here since Ed Hughes.
He says Caleb doesn't have the work ethic or brains of Bajent. Caleb has
how would you know
since high school to
how
get
would you
to
know
this
that
level. He lived on his own in high school to get to this level. He has worked his ass off. Have you heard about his diet since he was 12 years old to get to this level? So this is like there's a guy who called 670 the score, and maybe it was general manager John, and he talked to Dan Bernstein, and he goes, Bajent has the right bloodlines to be a great quarterback in this list. Like,
who said that?
Start some guy on 670 the score called in like that. Like, he says, you can't come on, John. You're about to get blocked. I just can't fix stupid.
Some people don't recognize. This guy's like Ryan Poles. He just can't recognize talent when he sees it.
He's got to be. He's got to be Matt. I'm sorry. I'm done. Anyway,
if you can't spot the talent in Caleb Williams' arm, I don't know what to tell you. I watched 50 years of football. I'm 56 years old. I've been watching football since I was 6. The Bears have never had a guy like this, maybe Jay Cutler, with an arm like this.
Yeah.
Eric Kramer could sling the ball too. But the Bears have not had talent like this. I mean, and I like Justin Fields too, but I'll give you the fact that Justin Fields couldn't read defenses or understand a complicated offense. I'm fine with conceding that. But Caleb Williams can. Does he need to get accurate a little bit on his downfield? More accurate on downfield and intermediate passing? Yes. He's living on the short pass. But I mean, look at the offense.
Quarterbacks miss throws in every game and every. Go back and watch. I was watching, like I said, I turned our game off last week.
Yeah.
And I watched the Bills and the Rams put on an absolute laser show. But those guys, future possible Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen, we're still missing throws. It's not.
One of the best defenses in the NFL is the Lions. Look at Caleb Williams' passer rating versus the Lions.
This
and those are all the other
Green Bay. It says.
Versus the Packers. What did I say? The Lions.
Yeah.
Versus the Packers. This is what you want is a guy that can beat the Packers. 85.2 passer rating. I mean, his passer rating against the NFC North is better than a lot of guys. Yeah. He's the only quarterback in the NFL. What is it? The only quarterback in the NFL to throw 2 touchdowns versus the Lions, 2 or more versus the Lions. He had 2. Nobody else has thrown 2 touchdowns on the Lions.
And he's thrown like the least amount of interceptions. And it's not like he's not taking chances.
Yep.
He's got some plays where he's going to. It's just.
He's a rookie. He's a fucking rookie. Troy Aikman is a Hall of Fame quarterback. His rookie season was he was 1-15. It was absolutely terrible. Peyton Manning's rookie season with the Colts, horrible. Both those guys are in the Hall of Fame. And Caleb Williams' rookie season is 10 times better than either of those guys.
No, I put General Manager John in timeout so he can think about what his comments were starting to get racist. Like, okay. And I'm a white guy, and I have been accused of racism, and it's not fun. But dude, like, how do you say that the kid's dumb? What has he done that's thank you, Matthew Pocheesi. Bears finally have a quarterback and might be ruining him. He has the potential to be great. I agree. But we're past 11 o'clock. We're 11:10 now. So
we got the game. What is it? We got a fantasy football goon coming up.
Yeah. So stay tuned. If you're in the fantasy playoffs, stay tuned to set your lineup. And
talk fantasy football right after the show. And then I got a big honeydew list. My wife's always like, podcast again, and you're gone for 3 hours. I was like, yeah, I can't leave Aaron by himself.
I appreciate it. But so give me your a score prediction, bowl prediction, MVB, and hit shout outs, and then we'll get out of here.
I'm going. Let's see. I forgot to get my thing about. It's a 43.5 total, which means it's a implied score of about, what is it? 24-7. Yeah, 25-18, 26-19, somewhere around there, 26-18. Around there. So I'm going to say, I don't think we're in trouble, man. I'm going to say Vikings 28, Bears 16. I don't think that's probably going to put us close. That's right around the total too. That's 44 points. 28-16 Vikings. Like I said, give me the Vikings -3.5 first half. It takes the Bears a while to get going. You know what I'm saying? And we are injured everywhere, man. Like no Gervon Dexter. I mean, look, give me Aaron Jones rushing prop over. He always kills the Bears too. Give me Aaron Jones over 68.5 rushing yards. I'll take that one too.
He kills the Bears no matter what type of uniform he's wearing, purple or green.
Probably the under is probably a good bet too. I might if the Bears defense shows up, I have no reason to think they will. I don't know. I mean, look, the team doesn't have a lot to play for. None of these guys might be making. We saw 49ers players making business decisions out there on Thursday nights, right? They don't have much to play for. You might see some business decisions getting made. The Vikings have stuff to play for. They get a home playoff game. They could get a home playoff.
They still got a shot at winning the division. They still play the Lions, right? So, they've got that going for them.
The Lions have a pretty tough game today versus the Bills.
That'll be a great game.
That's gonna be a good game. The highest total of the year, 54.5.
Yeah, I think there's two bangers at 425. There's Lions and Bills, and there's the Battle of Pennsylvania.
I think I might order a pizza, some wings, sit down for that one.
Hell yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right.
What is this? How do you know this?
Because King James is in the locker room. Duh.
I don't know how you can know this, but
There's meatball fans in every fan base. I just feel like I see it so much more in Bears fans. I don't know.
Bajan's arm is weak.
We've seen it. We watched him go 500 last year. We watched him not even be as good as Justin Fields, who can't get on the field in Pittsburgh now unless they're trying to run out the clock. Like, come on, people. What are y'all watching the same stuff I am?
And I like Tyson Bagent.
I like Bajan too, but Caleb Williams is the number one reason to watch the Final Four games is number 18. That's the number one reason.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
he says Eberflus
timeout too.
Eberflus openly said that it took him short time to learn the playbook.
Yeah, I put him back in timeout too. But you can join your little buddy over there with the GM, John.
This guy, this guy's told you that. He openly said it. Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
I don't trust anything.
Eberflus,
look. Eberflus tried to be everybody's buddy. I think Phil called him a gym teacher. You know, to me, that's exactly what he was.
Yeah.
You know, and Nagy was a shoe salesman. You know, he called him, and I can't agree with either. Those are fitting descriptions.
Yep.
You know, Nagy didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was a terrible head coach. Yep. You know, Eberflus was too focused on calling defensive plays to be a head coach. Nagy was too focused on calling offensive plays to be a head coach also. You know,
I think that's why a lot of people are leaning toward Vrabel.
Toward Vrabel, yeah. Manage the game, bring in the talent to call plays.
He's the exact opposite of Eberflus. And Nagy was kind of buddy-buddy with a lot of the players too.
Yeah, exactly, Aaron. Exactly. Yep, he was buddy-buddy with them too. You don't need
it's like almost like a parenting situation.
Yeah.
You can't be your kid's best friend, but you can point them in the right direction. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But obviously with love, you know. So you hit your
28-16 Vikings. I'm going to say I'll go most valuable player Williams. You know, I think the only reason we're throwing points up is this kid. You know, guys like DJ Moore, Montez Sweat, those guys look like they've given up on the season. Tremaine Edmonds, those guys.
I think they're hurt, man. Tremaine Edmonds, and he had a history of this in Buffalo, which is why they kind of let him walk. Where if the defensive line isn't eating up a lot of those blocks, and we saw it with Urlacher. You get a smaller
Roquan Smith.
Smaller, speedier linebacker. It's hard for them to get off blocks.
But Edmonds really isn't a small guy. He's a big guy. I wouldn't consider him. Though. He's skinny, exactly. He's 6'5", 250. You know, he's the same size as Urlacher. Yeah. But Urlacher was thin too. You know, but I mean, hell, no, Urlacher still put a hit on you. Also, nobody was as good at coverage as him, man. The dude was excellent at dropping into coverage.
Well, he played safety in college. You know, he was more natural at that. So he just he just had to play safety from the middle of the
middle linebacker
instead of the back half. Yeah.
Yep. And shout outs, Aaron Current. I'm shouting him out.
Good dude.
He's a good guy. I want you to shout out the chat room, especially Matty Fochisi for the super chats, man.
Absolutely.
And then shout out my Sean and Anthony, my partners on World Weekend Sports Betting Tips, who give out winners all the time here. I'll try. I got to work on getting that up to Spotify. I'll figure. I don't know. I'm gonna ask Aldo. I think how does he do that and stuff? You know, I don't know how to do it, but and then Aldo for making it all possible. Merry Christmas to everybody. If you got a honey-do list today or tomorrow, you know, I guess you get on the honey-do list today. There's no Bears game. Get that honey-do list done.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
All right. My score prediction. After last week, man, it's so hard for me to see the Bears defense or whole team really coming out with their hair on fire like they need to. And I think the Vikings at home playing for something, they're going to come out firing on all cylinders. And if you do find a way to shut down Justin Jefferson like you have, well. Jordan Addison's there. T.J. Hawkinson's there.
Aaron Jones is
Aaron
there.
Jones is there. So it's very difficult to shut down
Yep.
all their weapons. And Sam Darnold has been the perfect point guard that they've needed this year to spread the ball around. And
he's thrown the deep ball well. He's scrambled. He's run for first downs. You know, starting to turn into a top pick. Promise, fulfilling the promise, of being a top pick.
That's got to kill Jets fans to see that and to see
It's
whatever
just,
happens.
a lot of it's coaching, man. He went up to Minnesota and got good coaching.
Yeah,
he spent a year in San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan. Spent a year in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. With Zach Wilson if he moves on somewhere and if he
where is he on the Broncos?
He's learning from Sean Payton out there.
Okay, he's on the Broncos. Yep.
So we give him. See where he goes next. Maybe that'll tear Jets fans' hearts out again.
Plenty of teams looking for quarterbacks. The Raiders and Giants.
Cowboys maybe.
Cowboys maybe. I don't know. They just gave a giant contract to Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I think Prescott will be fine. I just he just got injured, and their defense was injured all year. They just there's too much pressure on the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to keep up.
Yeah. Well, my score prediction, I don't have faith in this team anymore. I think that the Bears lose this game.
I agree.
31 to, I'll say 24. I think Caleb has 2 or 3 touchdown passes. Hopefully he hits Rome some more, and they continue to build that connection. I'd like to see Cole Kmet get involved, please, and thank you.
I forgot he was on the team, to be honest.
Yeah. And then Cairo Santos hits a field goal, but they still lose this game. I would bet the over. I think both these defenses have the ability to give up points, and we saw Caleb have a good game against them last time. Now, there'll be some gamesmanship going back and forth.
We're so banged up, though. It's like, so should the players be embarrassed after the 49ers game? Yes. I don't think they have it in them to come out and give the Vikings a game like they did the last time around.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think they do. I don't think the fight is there. Whatever. The whole aura around the team has been the season's over. 4-9. It's a guaranteed losing season. We're not going to make the playoffs. Yeah. I'm not going to be here next year. Why should I bust my ass or blow out my knee? That kind of stuff. And that's. I'm sorry, that's the business of the NFL. If you're not winning, playing spoiler. I mean, you're playing for pride, okay, but you still want to have a career in the NFL. After this season,
that's why they made the final game of the year always divisional, was so that you could possibly knock a division rival out of the playoffs, and they'll actually the players and stuff.
But, spoiler. Yeah. I still don't think we have the coaches or healthy players to give any of the last remaining teams on our schedule a game.
I agree.
I could be wrong though, but
Seattle will be something to look at. And
they're playing well though, man.
They are playing.
McDonald's got that defense humming, and they don't have a lot of big name guys on that defense.
No, they don't. They just we'll talk about that when we get there. But. Yeah, I guess my MVP's got to be Caleb as well, because I just talked about him throwing a couple of touchdowns. Defensively, I don't think there's anyone of note. Jalen Johnson, gets shit together, man. You got paid. I mean, you're supposed to be a leader.
Montez Sweat got paid. As soon as they get paid, Nate Davis got paid. Mm-hmm. These guys all get paid. DJ Moore got paid. Their play just declines as soon as they get paid. And NFL, it'd be better. I know it'll never happen. It'd be better if you were paid on the amount you produce. You get so much like a salesperson. You get so much for as many catches or as many yards.
Yeah.
I know it'll never happen, but I mean, it's the only way to keep guys interested in playing.
Yeah. And then shout outs, of course, first and foremost, YouTube. Thank you for coming on here so I didn't have to go alone. Shout out to KB, whatever you got going on or wherever you're at. I hope you're good, man. Shout out to Chris. I know you're going through a tough time. If you tuned in live or listen later, just know that we love you, brother, and we're always here if you ever need to reach out for anything.
Yeah. Right on, folks.
Shout out to the chat, Matthew Focheesy, for dropping the super chats. Even those guys who were the Bajent ball washers. Shout out to y'all for coming in here. and speaking your truth, whether it's right or wrong. But yeah, everyone else in the chat. Jeremy's been in here. Of course, Robbie's been in early. Antmus is in here. Don Burr, shout out to you, brother. Good luck to your Lions today against the Bills. I'm telling you, that's Lions Bills score prediction. I think it's going to be a high scoring affair. I'm thinking like
54.5 points is the total.
Well, they might one of those.
I think it's going to be like a 30-27 game.
Yeah,
30-28, 31-28, something like that.
Don, if I'm honest, I'm worried about Lions injuries to going against the Bills offense. I think Bills may win this game, but it's going to be a high scoring event, like a 44-41 type game, almost like the Bills had last week with the Rams, I think.
God, what a game that was, man.
Yeah,
86 points.
Wow.
I think the Lions, I mean, could be a Super Bowl preview.
I call Don Burr brother because he's in here more than a lot of Bears fans are, man. I don't know.
Look, this could be a Super Bowl preview today. So I'll probably be tuning in.
Could be.
Yep, Super Bowl preview. Look, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL. There's no question. The guy,
he kind of locked up the MVP vote.
The guy is
last week, I think.
He's unstoppable, man. He's got a great arm. He can beat you with his legs. You hit him, he gets back up. I mean, he rallies his team. He's accurate. He makes plays when you have to make. He wills the team to win. Now the Lions, they're banged up on defense. So, I mean, it's kind of a draw there with defensive Bills and Lions. So I'm with you kind of on the over. Although, both these teams run the ball a lot, so I could see that chewing up clock. So I would stay away from the total. I got no bet on that. It's just going to be a fun game to watch. If this game got to 3, I might take the Bills +3. It's at 2.5 right now. They want you to take the Lions -2.5, which makes me kind of lean towards the Bills, and probably taking the Bills +2.5 is the outcome that Vegas wants. But I don't think I could get involved on this game in any way.
Yeah.
The number's pretty sharp.
Yeah, that's true. It hasn't moved much either. When I did my 12-ounce Grow Route podcast on Wednesday, it was in the
2.5, right?
At 2.5. Yeah, so it hasn't changed. But comment, subscribe to the Barroom Network on YouTube, and hit the notification bell. It'll tell you when we go live. We go live every Sunday. I thought about maybe doing this show tomorrow, but I decided to go ahead and do it today because I have to work tomorrow, and I don't know how much time I would have after work to try and get a show in before the kickoff was. Anyway, we do all kinds of shows. The Cubs traded for
Justin Tucker, Kyle Tucker from
the Astros. White Sox are hoping to not be the worst team in the MLB. They brought in Tauchman, who I liked a lot.
He was here in Des Moines.
Palatine
played on the Iowa Cubs right here. Saw him play a few times.
So
I forgot I'm on the World Series of Handicap. It's sitting at number 4th
overall
for NFL picking games.
Look at that.
Yep, that was last week. I was sitting at 4th. I dropped down to 6th after last week. That was a tough week last week, but making my picks shortly here.
Yeah. No love for Notre Dame. Shout out to them for getting into the playoff. I was hoping, I know they get to play Indiana, but I was hoping that they brought up like an Alabama or a Tennessee or a Southern team to come up there and play in the cold. I was kind of wanting to see how they would play in that type of environment this late in the season, because Kentucky is the furthest north they'll come, in SEC. So that would be fun to watch. But they get to play Indiana, so it's the Battle of Indiana. But shout out to Notre Dame. Navy beat my Army yesterday, so I was kind of turned off on college football a little bit. But we're running out of time here. Just like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and until next week, Tooch, we'll just leave them with a bear down.
Bear down.